Here's a little song I wrote.
Welcome, music fans. Today we're diving into the weird and wonderful world of 1980s chart toppers that make us cringe and smile at the same time. The 80s gave us some timeless classics, but it also blessed us with some seriously questionable #1 hits that somehow climbed to the top despite being, well, not that great. These songs combined catchy hooks with cheesy lyrics, over-the-top production, and sometimes just plain bizarre concepts. Let's count down 15 awesomely bad #1 songs from the 1980s. Putting on the Ritz, Taco, 1983.
If you're blue and you don't know where to.
This weird remake of the 1930s Irving Berlin classic somehow made it to #4 on the US charts in 1983. Dutch singer Taco Aukers took this vintage tune, added synthesizers and a robotic delivery, and created something truly strange. The music video featured Taco in formal wear with a painted white face, dancing awkwardly while electronic drums pounded in the background. What makes it awesomely bad? The bizarre contrast between the classic song and 80s synth-pop production. Taco's stiff delivery sounds like someone who just learned English from a textbook. Plus, the song features one of the most uncomfortable rap breaks in music history, with Taco attempting to sound cool while saying, "Have you seen the well-to-do up and down Park Avenue?" It's so awkward it's hypnotic. We Built This City, Starship, 1985. Often voted as one of the worst songs ever made. We Built This City represents everything that went wrong when 60s bands tried to adapt to 80s pop. Jefferson Airplane had transformed into Jefferson Starship and finally Starship, abandoning their psychedelic roots for this corporate anthem about rock and roll rebellion, ironically produced by the most commercial forces in the industry. The synthesizers sound like they're fighting each other. The lyrics make little sense. Marconi plays the mamba, and there's even a bizarre radio DJ interlude in the middle. Grace Slick, once one of rock's most powerful vocalists, sounds completely lost in this overproduced mess. Despite all this, it hit #1 and remains one of the decade's most recognizable tunes, proving that sometimes bad songs make the biggest splash. Rock Me Amadeus, Falco, 1986. Austrian rapper Falco struck gold with this German-language rap about Mozart. The song features someone shouting, "Amadeus! Amadeus!" over and over while Falco rap speaks in German about Mozart's life and wild ways. Most American listeners had no idea what he was saying, but that didn't stop them from making it a #1 hit. The music video shows Falco dressed in both modern punk gear and 18th century costumes, creating a bizarre, time-traveling Mozart fantasy. The song's strange mix of historical references, German rap, and 80s production creates something uniquely of its time. The hook is undeniably catchy, but try explaining to someone who's never heard it why a German rap about a classical composer became an American #1 hit. Safety Dance, Men Without Hats, 1983.
We can dance if we want to.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. So begins one of the strangest hits of the decade. This Canadian synth-pop oddity reached #3 in the US with its nonsensical lyrics about dancing safely, supposedly a protest against bouncers who stop people from pogoing at clubs. The music video made it even weirder, featuring the lead singer in medieval clothing, dancing with a little person dressed as a jester, and villagers doing a strange hopping dance around a maypole. There's even a person in an animal costume. It's like a fever dream from the Middle Ages, filtered through 80s new wave sensibilities. The song's bizarre mix of catchy chorus and absolute lyrical nonsense, and you can act real rude and totally removed, and I can act like an imbecile, makes it a perfect example of 80s weirdness that somehow worked. Funky Town, Lip Sync, 1980. kicking off the 1980s with robotic voices declaring, "Gotta make a move to a town that's right for me," Lip Sync. S. Funky Town is peak disco meets futuristic weirdness. The Minneapolis group created this synthesized ode to escaping to a more exciting city, supposedly New York, that top charts worldwide. What makes it awesomely bad? The repetitive vocoder vocals sound like a friendly robot having a malfunction, repeating "talk about it, talk about it, talk about it" over and over. The production is so slick, it's almost sterile, and the whole song seems designed in a lab to be as catchy and mindless as possible. Yet there's something hypnotic about its artificial energy and earnest desire to find that mythical funky town where life is more exciting. Mickey, Tony Basil, 1982. Cheerleader-turned-singer Tony Basil was 39 years old when she released this cheerleading-themed pop song that sounds like it was written for teenagers. The song, originally called Kitty before Basil changed it, features hand claps, cheers, and the unforgettable, "Oh Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey Mickey." The music video, with Basil in cheerleader outfit leading actual cheerleaders, became an early MTV favorite. What makes this song awesomely bad is its childish simplicity combined with subtly suggestive lyrics and Basil's over-enthusiastic delivery. The repetitive chorus gets stuck in your head whether you want it there or not, and the cheerleader concept feels like a gimmick that shouldn't have worked but somehow became iconic. Rico Suave, Gerardo, 1990. Technically released in late 1990, this song rode its popularity into 1991 and represents the exact moment when the 80s officially died. Ecuadorian-born Gerardo Mejia created this bilingual ode to his own sex appeal, with lyrics like, "The women call me Rico Suave," and "I'm lover, not a fighter, but I'll still knock you out." Gerardo's confidence knows no bounds as he delivers lines about how irresistible he is while wearing an open leather jacket with no shirt and plenty of gold chains. The Spanish guitar meets hip-hop production hasn't aged well, and Gerardo's persona as the ultimate Latin lover feels both dated and hilariously over the top. Yet the song reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a cultural touchstone for cheesy machismo. I've Never Been to Me. Charlene, 1982.
Hey lady, you...
This ballad about a world-traveled woman telling a housewife that her glamorous, promiscuous life was actually empty compared to domestic bliss is a masterclass in melodrama. Originally released in 1977, it flopped before being re-released in 1982 and hitting number 3 in the US. What makes it awesomely bad? The spoken word section where Charlene dramatically intones, "Hey, you know what paradise is?" It's a lie, a fantasy we create about people and places as we'd like them to be. But you know what truth is? It's that little baby you're holding, and it's that man you fought with this morning. The song's conservative message and over-the-top delivery make it feel like a soap opera compressed into 4 minutes, complete with references to undying love and making love to kings. Suso, Phil Collins, 1985. Even Phil Collins admits he has no idea what Suso means. It was just a nonsense word he used while developing the song. The fact that this non-word became the hook for a #1 hit shows Collins' power in the 80s music scene. The song sounds like Collins was trying to recreate Prince's 1999 with its synth horn stabs and drum pattern. The music video features Collins awkwardly dancing and playing to an initially uninterested crowd that eventually catches Suso fever. What makes this awesomely bad is Collins building an entire hit around a made-up word that sounds like a child's attempt to say studio, paired with lyrics about a schoolboy crush. Despite its silliness, or because of it, the song remains one of Collins' most recognizable hits. Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, Wham, 1984. George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley created this peppy tribute to 60s pop after Ridgeley left a note for his parents reading, "Wake me up before you go go," accidentally writing up twice. The result was a #1 hit that featured the duo in Choose Life t-shirts and short shorts in the now iconic music video. The song's relentless cheerfulness with lyrics about jitterbugging and putting on a little makeup to hit that high feels almost aggressive in its peppiness. The saxophone solo and finger snaps add to the deliberately retro feel that somehow ended up defining 80s pop itself. It's a guilty pleasure that's impossible to listen to without smiling at its pure, unfiltered enthusiasm and absolute refusal to be cool. The Final Countdown. Europe, 1986. This Swedish rock band created one of the most recognizable synth riffs in history with The Final Countdown. The song about leaving Earth for Venus somehow became a stadium anthem despite its sci-fi lyrics and over-the-top delivery. What makes it awesomely bad? The contrast between the futuristic synthesizer intro and Joey Tempest's very 80s hair metal vocals creates musical whiplash. The lyrics are pure cheese. We're heading for Venus, and still we stand tall. And the whole song feels like it should be the theme for a low-budget sci-fi show. The band performs the song with complete seriousness in the music video while sporting some of the most impressive mullets and teased hair of the decade. Despite all this, or because of it, the song remains instantly recognizable and still gets crowds pumping their fists. Tarzan Boy, Baltimora, 1985. This Italo-disco hit featured Irish vocalist Jimmy McShane, though he reportedly didn't actually sing on the track, yodeling a jungle call over electronic beats. The chorus consists mainly of "oh, oh, 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 oh," meant to sound like Tarzan's famous yell. The music video shows McShane dancing awkwardly in a jungle setting, sometimes in a cage, while performing moves that can only be described as confused aerobics. The song reached #13 in the US, but was a much bigger hit in Europe. Its combination of jungle imagery, disco beats, and that unforgettable yodel chorus makes it one of the decade's strangest international hits, embodying the so bad it's good aesthetic that defined much of 80s pop. Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, 1984. This dance track became infamous when BBC Radio 1 DJ Mike Redd realized mid-broadcast that it was about sex and possibly orgasm control, leading to a ban that only increased its popularity. The song reached #1 in the UK and #10 in the US, despite, or because of, its controversial nature. Producer Trevor Horn created a throbbing electronic backdrop for lyrics like "Relax, don't do it when you want to come," and "When you want to suck it, do it." What makes it awesomely bad is how it tried to be both mainstream dance pop and provocatively sexual, resulting in a song that clubs could play while maintaining plausible deniability about its meaning. The various music videos, especially the original leather bar version that was quickly banned, added to the controversy that made this song a defining moment of 80s excess. Loving You, Minnie Riperton, 1975.
Loving you.
While technically a mid-70s hit, reaching #1 in 1975, this song's influence extended into the 80s thanks to its unforgettable high note that became a cultural touchstone. Riperton's 5-octave vocal range is on full display as she hits the whistle register with the famous "Lovin' You" that sounds more like a bird call than human singing. The song's gentle instrumentation and nature sounds create a peaceful backdrop for Riperton's vocal acrobatics, which reach their peak with that sustained high F that has challenged karaoke singers for decades. What makes it awesomely bad is how the song builds to this single vocal gymnastics moment that's so high it almost seems comical, despite Riperton's undeniable talent. The contrast between the song's serene mood and that attention-grabbing high note creates a listening experience that's both impressive and slightly ridiculous. Maneater, Hall and Oates. Daryl Hall and John Oates dominated the early 80s charts with their Blue-Eyed Soul, but 1982's Maneater stands out as a particularly cringeworthy number 1. The song's repetitive chorus hammers the metaphor of a woman as a predatory animal with all the subtlety of a neon sledgehammer. The track's saxophone, which was probably considered sultry at the time, now sounds like elevator music with aspirations. Hall's vocal performance borders on parody as he dramatically warns us about this dangerous woman who will chew you up and is only out for one thing. The dated synth tones and programmed drums create a backing track that feels as plastic as the decade's fashion. What makes Maneater truly special in the Bad Song Hall of Fame is how seriously it takes itself while delivering lyrics that sound like they were written by a teenager who just experienced his first breakup. The metaphor is stretched so thin you can see through it, culminating in the profound observation that the woman is wild. Deep stuff, guys. Despite all this, Americans couldn't get enough of being warned about carnivorous women, and the song spent 4 weeks at number 1. Today, it remains a perfect time capsule of 80s excess, overproduced, melodramatic, and trying way too hard to be cool. Don't worry, be happy. Bobby McFerrin.
Here's a little song I wrote.
Bobby McFerrin is an undeniable musical genius. His vocal range, improvisational skills, and understanding of music theory are extraordinary, which makes it all the more confusing that his legacy for many remains this irritatingly simplistic 1988 chart topper. Don't Worry, Be Happy is the musical equivalent of someone telling you to just cheer up when you're depressed. The entire song consists of McFerrin making mouth noises and whistling while delivering the profound advice that happiness is simply a choice. Just don't worry and you'll be happy. The oversimplified life philosophy feels like it was pulled from a dollar store greeting card. What makes this song particularly frustrating is that it showcases only a fraction of McFerrin's incredible talent. It's like watching Meryl Streep star in a cereal commercial. The novelty of the a cappella approach wore thin after about 30 seconds, yet somehow the song spent 2 weeks at number 1 and won 3 Grammy Awards. The final insult? This annoyingly cheerful earworm became associated with George H.W. Bush's 1988 presidential campaign, cementing its place as both a musical and political irritant. Decades later, having someone whistle the melody of Don't Worry, Be Happy remains a reliable way to make people instantly annoyed. Physical. Olivia Newton-John, 1981. This seemingly innocent exercise anthem was actually a thinly veiled song about sex that somehow became the anthem of the aerobics craze. Newton-John, known for her wholesome image from Grease, shocked audiences with lyrics like, "There's nothing left to talk about unless it's horizontally," while the music video attempted to maintain innocence by setting it in a gym. What makes it awesomely bad? The hilarious disconnect between Newton-John's sweet persona and the song's suggestive lyrics creates a wonderful tension. The video features men in tight shorts transforming from overweight to muscular, only to walk off holding hands with each other, surprisingly progressive for 1981. The song's use of exercise as a metaphor for sex perfectly captures the 80s obsession with both fitness and pushing boundaries, all packaged in a peppy tune with headbands and leg warmers. The song spent 10 weeks at number 1, making it one of the decade's biggest hits, despite, or because of, its awkward attempt to be both sexy and wholesome at the same time.
Oh yes, they call him the street.
Muskrat, muskrat, candlelight. So
Playground in My Mind by Clint Holmes, 1973.
When this world gets me down.
The year was 1973 when Clint Holmes unleashed Playground in My Mind upon unsuspecting radio listeners. This saccharine sweet number features a child singing the chorus.
My name is Michael, I got a nickel shiny. I'm gonna buy.
If that doesn't make you wince, nothing will. The production somehow manages to sound both overproduced and undercooked. Holmes' vocals swing wildly between conversational verses and an overly dramatic chorus. Yet somehow Americans couldn't get enough of this musical equivalent of cotton candy, sweet but ultimately unsatisfying and slightly nauseating in large doses. What makes this song especially painful is that it knocked Paul McCartney's My Love off the top spot. Let that sink in. A former Beatle was dethroned by a man singing about a playground in his mind. Disco Duck by Rick Dees, 1976. Nothing screams 1976 quite like Disco Duck, a novelty song by radio DJ Rick Dees that featured, you guessed it, duck noises set to a disco beat. This masterpiece of musical mockery spent 1 week at number 1, proving that Americans will buy literally anything if it's catchy enough. The song tells the story of a man who develops a strange duck-like dance and voice at a disco club. Dees performs the verses in a normal voice, while a Donald Duck impersonator handles the chorus. If this sounds like something created on a dare after too many drinks, that's because it essentially was. What makes Disco Duck particularly fascinating is that Dees was fired from his radio job for playing his own song as it was released on a competing label. So not only did he create one of the worst number 1 hits ever, but he temporarily tanked his career in the process. You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone, 1977.
So many nights.
Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life spent an unprecedented 10 weeks at number 1 in 1977, making it one of the biggest hits of the decade.
I kept deep inside me.
The song is so aggressively wholesome that it practically causes tooth decay. Boone's earnest delivery sounds like she's auditioning for a high school musical rather than recording a pop song. The production is the musical equivalent of beige wallpaper, inoffensive but utterly forgettable. Yet somehow this saccharine ballad connected with listeners in a profound way. Boone later revealed she was thinking about God while singing it, adding an unexpected religious dimension to what most assumed was a love song. You Light Up My Life won an Academy Award for Best Original Song after appearing in a movie of the same name. This means that this piece of musical wallpaper has more Oscars than Martin Scorsese had for most of his career. Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band, 1976.
Find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab.
On the surface, Afternoon Delight sounds like an innocent, breezy pop song with nice harmonies. Dig just slightly below the surface and you'll find a song explicitly about having sex in the middle of the day. The not-so-subtle lyrics include gems like,
Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight.
Drinking up my appetite.
What makes this 1976 hit particularly cringeworthy is how the wholesome sunshine pop arrangement completely contradicts the horniness of the lyrics. It sounds like something that might play in an ice cream parlor, not a song about skipping work to get some action. The Starland Vocal Band won the Grammy for Best New Artist after this hit, then promptly disappeared, making them one of the most famous one-hit wonders of the decade. Convoy by C.W. McCall, 1976. In 1976, America was gripped by a strange fascination with CB radio culture, resulting in the number 1 hit Convoy by C.W. McCall. This spoken-word country song tells the story of a fictional truck driver rebellion using CB radio slang that's nearly incomprehensible to the uninitiated. With lyrics like,
Yeah, 10-4, Big Ben, for sure. By golly, it's clean clear to Flagtown, come on. Yeah, it's a big 10-4 there, Big Ben. Yeah, we definitely got the front door, good buddy. Mercy sakes alive, looks like we got us a convoy.
Delivered in an exaggerated drawl over a country rock backing track, Convoy sounds like a parody of a hit song rather than an actual chart topper. The song spawned a movie of the same name and cemented phrases like 10-4 good buddy in the American lexicon. If nothing else, Convoy proves that anything can become a number 1 hit if it captures a cultural moment, no matter how niche or bizarre. Billy, Don't Be a Hero by Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods, 1974.
I looked across and there I saw Billy.
This 1974 hit tells the story of a woman begging her fiancé not to volunteer for a dangerous military mission. Spoiler alert, Billy ignores her, becomes a hero, and dies. The song ends with the woman throwing away the letter, informing her of Billy's heroic death. What makes this song particularly painful is its weird tonal disconnect. The tragic story is set to an upbeat, bouncy melody that sounds like it belongs in a commercial for breakfast cereal, not a song about wartime grief. The song's anti-war sentiment connected with Americans still processing Vietnam, but modern listeners are more likely to be distracted by the aggressively cheerful arrangement and the awkward delivery of lines like "Billy, don't be a hero, come back to me." Torn Between Two Lovers by Mary McGregor, 1976.
There are times when a woman has to say what's on her mind.
Mary McGregor's 1976 hit, Torn Between Two Lovers, is remarkable for being perhaps the most apologetic song about cheating ever recorded. The narrator explains to her partner that she's in love with another man, but hopes he'll understand because loving you both is breaking all the rules. The soft, gentle delivery and acoustic arrangement contrast starkly with the song's message. McGregor sounds like she's explaining that she forgot to pick up milk, not that she's carrying on an affair. The awesomely bad quality of Torn Between Two Lovers comes from its complete lack of self-awareness. There's no guilt or real conflict in the performance, just a calm explanation of why the singer should be allowed to have her cake and eat it too. The song spent 2 weeks at #1, proving that even in the free-loving 70s this was a fantasy scenario. Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast by Wayne Newton, 1972.
Everybody knows, everybody knows.
Wayne Newton, better known for his Las Vegas performances than his pop hits, topped the charts in 1972 with Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast, a song designed to make divorced fathers cry. The song tells the story of a man leaving his family until he hears his little daughter calling after him. The manipulative lyrics are delivered with Newton's trademark vibrato, backed by sweeping strings designed to maximize the emotional impact. What makes this song particularly bad is how it reduces complex family dynamics to a child's plea, suggesting that divorce is something that can be fixed if a kid just asks nicely enough. The over-the-top production and Newton's dramatic delivery turn what might have been a touching story into a maudlin tearjerker that feels calculated rather than genuine. You're Having My Baby by Paul Anka with Adia Coates, 1974.
You're having my baby.
Paul Anka's You're Having My Baby has been criticized since its release in 1974 for its male-centered perspective on pregnancy. The song, a duet with Adia Coates, celebrates a woman's decision to have my baby, emphasizing the man's role while reducing the woman to a vessel. With lyrics like,
You could have swept it from your life, but you wouldn't do it.
Anka manages to be both condescending and self-congratulatory. The swelling strings and earnest delivery can't disguise the song's problematic viewpoint. What makes You're Having My Baby especially terrible is how it presents itself as a loving tribute while completely missing the mark on what might actually honor a pregnant partner. Despite criticism from women's groups, the song spent 3 weeks at #1, proving that questionable messaging was no barrier to commercial success in the 1970s. My Dingling by Chuck Berry, 1972.
And then Mama took me to grammar school.
Rock and roll pioneer Chuck Berry is known for classics like Johnny Be Good and Roll Over Beethoven. Ironically, his only #1 hit was My Dingling, a juvenile double entendre about playing with his, recorded live with an audience singing along. My Dingling features Berry encouraging the crowd to participate in what is essentially a children's song filled with not-so-subtle sexual references. The audience's laughter makes it clear everyone understands exactly what Berry is talking about. What makes this song particularly terrible is knowing that Berry's true genius and contributions to music are represented on the charts by this novelty song rather than his groundbreaking early work. The fact that My Dingling was Berry's commercial peak is one of music history's cruelest jokes.
Jackie Blue. The Ozark Mountain Daredevils emerged from the hills of Springfield, Missouri, with this smooth, laid-back single that reached #3 on the charts in April 1975. Jackie Blue stood apart from the group's usual country rock style, featuring a dreamy, almost jazzy feel and lyrics about a mysterious, independent woman who lives her life from inside her room. The song's distinctive melody, featuring a memorable descending chord progression and relaxed groove, made it a radio staple. drummer Larry Lee's lead vocal performance gave the track a soulful quality that contrasted with the band's more typical southern rock offerings. Producer Glyn Johns, known for his work with The Who and the Rolling Stones, captured a polished sound that helped the single crossover from rock to pop radio. Despite continuing to record and perform, the Daredevils returned to their regional following after their brief moment of national fame. Their blend of country, rock, and folk influences would later be recognized as a precursor to the Americana movement. But in 1975, they were simply a regional band that briefly captured the national zeitgeist with one perfectly crafted pop single.